Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to retain power, but his BJP party has lost its outright parliamentary majority for the first time in 10 years. His NDA bloc secured 293 seats above the 272 mark needed to form a government. Mr. Modi thanked voters for their mandate and said he would do everything to eradicate corruption and poverty. The opposition coalition, India, performed far better than expected, securing 232 seats. The India alliance has not accepted defeat and says it will meet later to decide the next steps. A court in Florence has reconvicted Amanda Knox for slander years after she was acquitted of murdering her British roommate Meredith Kercher in 2007. Ms. Knox will not go to prison as she has already served 4 years for the murder, for which she was originally convicted. At the time, she was also convicted of slander for blaming the murder on local bar owner Patrick Lumumba during a police interrogation, but that conviction was quashed last year and a retrial ordered. Ms. Knox's lawyers have said they expect to appeal against the latest verdict. US President Joe Biden's Republican rivals and some of his Democratic allies have criticized his new executive order aimed at curbing record migrant arrivals at the US-Mexico border. Under the order, which took effect at midnight, officials can quickly remove migrants entering the US illegally without processing their asylum requests. Left-wing Democrats, activists and the UN have voiced concerns, while Republicans have criticized the plan. But Mr. Biden says his Republican opponents stood in the way of a bipartisan border security deal that failed in Congress earlier this year.
Republicans in Congress, not all, but walked away from it. Today, I'm joined by a bipartisan group of governors, members of Congress, mayors, law enforcement officials, most of whom live and work along the southern border. They know the border is not a political issue to be weaponized. The responsibility we have to share to do something about it. They don't have time for the games played in Washington, and neither do the American people. So today, I'm moving past Republican obstruction and using the executive authorities available to me as president to do what I can on my own to address the border.
Hezbollah rockets have sparked days of bushfires in northern Israel, with swathes of forest reserve destroyed and 11 people hospitalized for smoke inhalation. Patches of scorched earth start to appear about half an hour from the Lebanon border, with plumes of grey smoke mapping the route to either side across the hills. Local residents in Israel's largely deserted northern communities have been battling scattered fires for several weeks. One member of a civil defense team said there had been 15 to 16 fires in the area since then. South Africa's African National Congress has suggested forming a government of national unity after losing its parliamentary majority in last week's elections.
The results indicate that the South Africans want all parties to work together.
It says it has reached out to all parties, but negotiations are still underway. The ANC got about 40% of the vote, with the centre-right Democratic Alliance on 22%, the MK party of the former President Jacob Zuma on 15%, and the Radical Economic Freedom Fighters on 9% of the vote. Actor Alec Baldwin and his wife Hilaria Baldwin are set to star in their own reality TV show about their family.
We're inviting you into our home to experience the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the wild and the crazy.
The couple, who have 7 children, all under the age of 10, said the Baldwins will air on US cable network TLC in 2025. However, the decision to do the show has been criticised due to Alec Baldwin's forthcoming trial. The actor is set to stand trial in July for involuntary manslaughter over a fatal shooting on the set of the Western movie Rust in 2021. And King Charles has paid a heartfelt tribute to those who had taken part in the D-Day landings, praising them for replacing tyranny with freedom.
For we are all eternally in their debt.
He was speaking in Portsmouth, one of the key departure points for the Normandy landings in June 1944. The King hailed the courage, resilience and solidarity of those who had taken part in D-Day and whose numbers were now dwindling to so few. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.